All right, guys, welcome to this episode of Vertcoin Talk. This is episode 8, I believe. Yeah, so we're doing the June update today. Today, for the first time on Vertcoin Talk, we have one of the newest members of the Vertcoin marketing team, Spuddle, who is all the way down in Australia. So introduce yourself and let the people know a little bit about your background and kind of what all you're doing here for the Vertcoin team.
Hey guys. Yeah, no, I think I've been I've been a relatively new person to Vertcoin. I guess one of the things that interested me about the whole project was the whole community and so I suppose one of the things that I thought I could bring to the table was my experience with marketing, which I've been in it for well over a decade, and I've worked with some pretty big clients, and I thought that this was a fantastic opportunity to do some amazing work. And I think there's tremendous potential with this particular project because of the community. So I think it's super exciting and super glad to help out.
Awesome. Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us for today. So today we're going to go over the June development update. So there's a lot of awesome news in there. A lot of people, we put this out and it doesn't get as much traction as it really should. But we're going to go over that in detail today. We're also going to, I forgot to announce this whenever I did the last Vertcoin Talk with James Lovejoy. We had set up a bounty for an AMD miner setup video. Now, so I'm going to go into detail kind of, what that's all about and the stipulations behind it. Now, you have until July 17th, I believe, in order to get that uploaded to YouTube with the hashtag of Vertcoin AMD miner, and then you'll be entered, and as long as it's published by that date, then we'll be good to go. But I'll go into more detail about that here in just a second. We're also going to highlight an initiative that we're trying to do just to give the community a little bit more say and to really reflect on how our community really embraces the values of the project, and we're going to do a quick highlight of the community voice and kind of how we want to do a little bit more of that as we go through June and the rest of the middle of the year. And then Spuddle's actually going to go into a deep dive necessarily of the Vertcoin marketing audit that we did last month. And if any of you guys got to check out the development update, you saw a little bit about that. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to get right through this development update. So this month, pretty big month, we had the AMD miner come out. So I know everybody's been waiting for this for a long time. This was actually done by an outside developer who claimed the bounty, and the hash rates that we got on this miner was wonderful. So he ended up getting the bounty. It's all open source. You can check it out. And this ties kind of into that video bounty that we were setting up. We wanted somebody to make a kind of a how-to video on how to run the AMD miner and get it set up from start to finish, from installing all the way to mining. And because it's not as easy as the one-click miner that everybody has who has NVIDIA cards, they've been able to use. It's very simple, very intuitive. The AMD miner was a little bit more complex as far as setting up, so we felt that a how-to video was necessary. So we put out a bounty. So here, I'll go ahead and jump to that real quick since we're talking about the AMD miner. So the AMD miner instructional video, you had to create a how-to video for Windows or Linux. So we're looking for 2 videos total, one for each operating system. And you got to include step-by-step instructions, how to start mining all the way, from installing the software to mining. And then you got to upload a video of that. So you can do an animated video, you can do a screen capture video of you basically going step by step and then talking through it. The creativity side of this is your world. Put up the best product that you think will be able to win. If you get it uploaded by July 17th and you include in the hashtag either in your title or your description hashtag Vertcoin AMD miner, then we'll be able to search that, and then we're going to pick the best video for Windows machines, and then the best video for Linux machines. And each of those videos will receive 50 Vertcoin as an appreciation for doing that. So not only are you contributing to helping other people in the community to be able to learn how to use the miner with for AMD cards, you'll be getting a little bit of something back from us. Now, this does not include the one-click miner, and the reason I have to put in that caveat is we started this contest prior to getting the new AMD miner integrated into our one-click miner. Well, at the end of June, if you read the update, we did get the one-click miner. We got that integrated in, so anybody who's trying to do a video with the one-click miner where literally you go and select the new AMD miner and then click start mining, that's not going to be a successful entry into the contest. We do want the more complex, the raw miner, the how-to video on how to do that. But yeah, so the AMD miner is here. I know we've been waiting a long time for that. So now we have, no matter if you have an NVIDIA card or an AMD miner, as long as you have a graphics card in your system, you can now mine Vertcoin with optimal performance. Another thing that we had this month is Trezor support, which is a hardware wallet. So you can have cold storage, that way you're not connected. So now we are supported on their Trezor 1 and their Trezor T hardware wallets. I don't have one of those. Sputtle, do you have one? Any of the hardware wallets or anything like that?
I've got a ledger, one of the ledgers. It works quite, like, it works for what it needs to do. Yeah.
So I haven't dove into the hardware side for cold storage just yet. But now I think those are the two major players in that market. So now we're covered on both of those, which is another big plus for this month. We did, a lot of people ask us about the exchange listing, and we haven't touched that yet. You guys can still go over to vertcoin.org/donate, and you can still see the exchange listing fund. We're still there. We're at 10,122 Vertcoin has been donated to that fund. A lot of people ask us, well, what have we used in order to get on listings? We haven't used any of that money yet. So we have not paid for a listing at all. And this month we actually got listed on Maple Exchange, or Maple Change, which is a Canadian cryptocurrency exchange. So we got listed on there this month. We're really looking for a good return on investment for that exchange listing. We don't want to just piss away the money and not really get something for that, get enough volume and such on a daily basis. So we're still waiting, and we're still working channels, and we have talks in the works and things of that nature to use those funds. But currently it's still all there. If you ever have any questions on where it's at, you can come and look at the that donation address, and you can see that all of those funds have not been touched at all. And while I'm on the point of donation, so remember, Vertcoin is completely supported. Our dev team, marketing, everything like that is completely supported by donations. We did not have ICO, no pre-mine, no airdrops, none of that. The developers, the marketing team, everybody who's associated with the project is in this just as fairly as any random person who got into Vertcoin. So you can come to this page and you can track our monthly goals for our donations, and you can see where they go and all that stuff. I think we're probably one of the most transparent cryptocurrency groups in the whole space. I mean, where we spend our money, where we get our money, everything like that, because at the end of the day, this is your project. It is the people's coin, and we want everybody to be able to track and to have say basically in how we're doing and how we're spending those donations. So.
And I think that's one of the things that's really appealing to someone like me, for instance, in marketing, is that if we ever want to do something that has that needs a lot of funding, or that needs a lot of reach, we've got such a broad community to help with any of those things. And I think that just means that there's so much potential to do large activations. Just depending if the community wants to get on board with that. So it presents us with so many opportunities, and I think it's a really exciting future.
Yeah, and as opposed to the alternative, which is these companies that do ICOs, or not companies, they're really individuals. Most of the times, ICOs and things of that nature do not have a large infrastructure behind them. They're raising money. Most of the times they don't even have a real product or anything like that. We have a product, a blockchain, applications, apps, all this stuff is already developed, and I mean, our books are open, which is a great, for me, it's a trust factor. Being able to trust and verify everything that's happening inside of the project makes me much more at ease with Vertcoin versus some of these other projects out here that you can't even get in touch with their developers. You go to our Discord, you can get in touch with any of the developers anytime. I mean, they're always more than happy to talk about stuff. So that's what's going on with the exchange listing. I already talked about the one-click miner a little bit, so that got released here at the end of the month. Make sure and go and download the latest version of that. The AMD miner, the new upgraded AMD miner, is integrated in with that. So if you don't want to deal with the hassle, or it's not necessarily the hassle. If you enjoy tinkering with miners and stuff like that, then you've already been playing with the raw AMD miner. But if you just want to get it and go, here you can use the one-click miner and check that out. Let us know how it's performing. If you find any bugs or anything like that, make sure to post those issues on our GitHub. So we had a new addition to the developer team. I'm hoping one day I'll be able to get him on here just to talk a little bit about his background, what he's planning on working on, and things of that nature. He's the initiator of the Vertcoin's bug bounty program. So he's bringing a lot of good stuff to the project. And that's pretty much it for the development update. There's a few items in there, but those are pretty major updates from a development standpoint. And then from the marketing side, we really hit the ground running this month where we had 2 new members to the marketing team, which you guys have already got to hear from Sputtle today. He's down in Melbourne. So him and Crypto Plankton, which I know a lot of you guys have seen here on the Vertcoin Talk, they both, I think you guys have met in person, right? And actually discussed Vertcoin in person, right?
We have met in person. And it was super. It seemed super shady at the start, but Crypto is a really cool guy. I think was that one of those situations where like I'll be wearing a blah blah blah. It was good, and I think we had a mutual understanding of like what Vertcoin's about, and I guess that's one of the reasons why I'm here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and then we also have Sam, which I know we had Ben talk about Sam. He's helping Ben with the Vertcoin Academy, getting a lot of the VertDoc stuff squared away. So Sam has officially joined the marketing team. So both of these guys have joined in, brought their talents and their skills into the team. And, they're doing this all voluntarily, just like the rest of us, because we are passionate about the project and what the future holds for the project. So one of the major things that Sputtle did whenever he first came in, and we got kind of a presentation for you guys here at the end of this, where we're going to go kind of step by step through the brand audit. But the first thing he did is he brought his talents in marketing to, let's do a brand audit. Let's really get an idea of kind of where we're going with Vertcoin. Where do we want to see ourselves month after month down the road? And that way we can kind of shape the message and start working harder on being able to fix the marketing side of this particular project. We'll go over that here in just a minute. I already talked about the AMD miner instructional video. So last month we only got one Vertcoin talk out, which was the AMD miner talk with James. So we had James Lovejoy on the last episode. I know we got, I'm hoping to maybe do one more talk this month. We'll see what happens. I know it's summertime here in the United States, so vacations and such are happening big time in July. So we'll see what happens as far as talks. But let us know if you have any topics you want us to cover, anything you want us to do a deep dive in. If you want to see some particular developers on here, let us know. We'll bring that to you here in the coming weeks. Merchant adoption, every Monday you guys should be checking out our Reddit. So we do Merchant Mondays. I also tweet about it and such, so we try and push that out everywhere. But we every week we go over what merchants are accepting Vertcoin as payment, if we have any new ones, and then also we kind of highlight some that are either new or they've been on the list for a while now. We have we're also looking to expand our efforts on merchant adoption. So if you want to take an active role in acquiring merchants or acquiring people who can accept Vertcoin as payment, please come into our open marketing channel inside of our Discord and start talking strategy, start talking materials that you may need and such of that nature. The more boots on the ground that we have as far as adopting merchants to be able to accept Vertcoin, the faster that our currency will be able to spread and people will be able to use it on a daily basis to be able to buy services and goods. Another big thing from this month is we had VertPig. So as you guys know, VertPig is it's a Vertcoin based exchange. It's not run by the Vertcoin team, but Adam, who is over there at VertPig in the UK, he is in close contact with all of us. We talk to him basically daily. But VertPig actually opened up a swap, so it's kind of a competition with it just lost my head. What's the other crypto swap? Maybe you guys in the chat will know. It went down for a little bit. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, is it? It's not Shapeshift, is it?
Yeah, Shapeshift. That's it. Yep, there it is.
Yeah.
I haven't used that thing in so long. But Shapeshift kind of went down for a little bit, and right about that time is when VertPig opened up its swap with 0 maker fees and only 0.25% taker fees. So we had that happen this week or this month. We also had Digibyte added as a pairing with Vertcoin. So a lot of good things happening over there at VertPig. I know we had some questions about VertBase. I do know that VertBase is still on track. We're waiting on some paperwork in order to get that up and running. So then we'll have a VTC USD exchange pairing so that you'll be able to not have to go through Coinbase or anywhere else like that. You'll be able to go directly from US dollar to Vertcoin, which will be a huge step. I mean, there's not many currencies out there that can actually boast that we have a USD, we have a euro pairing. You know, there's a lot of things that Vertcoin's doing that most people don't even, you know, if one of the top 10 said something like this, they would be losing their mind. But, you know, when we do it, it's not as, you know, we can't even get a CoinDesk article out of it. But so we also had that man on the right, who is another member of the marketing team. He posted a Medium article talking about how to deal with double spending. Now, if you guys don't know what double spending is, it's where basically you can cheat money out of an exchange if the exchange does not have a certain number of confirmations before it confirms your payment into the exchange. He did a deep dive on basically what exchanges can do in order to kind of alleviate that vulnerability. So check this out. I know it's a pretty long article, but it's a lot of good information there, and it kind of leads to, we're always, even if it's not Vertcoin related, when it comes to the crypto space, we're always thinking about safety and ways to make the entire crypto sphere better. So check that out there. So one last thing we touched on was, you know, squelching ASIC rumors. So right now there isn't any ASICs for us. I know we're working on another algorithm that will be more efficient and things of that nature. So stay tuned for that. But you know, right now there aren't any ASICs for Layer 2 Rev 2. But we are currently in the process of working on a new algorithm for Vertcoin. So we'll have that out soon. You see the development funds. Still one of the only projects that ever puts out their monthly funds, what comes in, what goes out. We had our AMD miner bounty was paid, website bounty was paid. You can see UK lawyers, so we had to pay some lawyers. This is for the foundation. I know we've been talking about the foundation for about 6 months now. It seems like it keeps going and keeps going. It is very close to being finished. So you guys will be really happy once that's there. I mean, it's going to be a 501c3 here in the United States, which is a non-profit foundation. So you will actually be able to donate to the Vertcoin Foundation and then write it off on your taxes if you're in the United States, which is a cool thing. But that once that gets squared away, we'll be able to do all kinds of things like enabling the super chats here in YouTube, taking donations through that. But we wanted to wait until we get the foundation squared away before we start accepting things through YouTube and stuff like that. Now, if you do want to donate to the Vertcoin project, you can do that through the website here, vertcoin.org, and then there's some Vertcoin addresses here, depending on if you wanted to donate to marketing, to the general dev fund, or the tip jar, or anything like that. You can do that there. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the dev update for June. Pretty big month. We were able to get a lot of things done that month, and we're continuously building on things like the Lightning Network, the Lit, and the Lit box. I know there was a lot of not necessarily rumors, but there was things floating around of June 30th, Litbox is going to be available for purchase and things of that nature. I know a lot of that stems from the MIT video that was put out by James, where he had said that we were looking to have a working prototype by the end of quarter 2, which we do have a working prototype. It is currently internal. We are doing more testing with that. We are looking at 3D printed boxes and all kinds of other stuff, but we do have a working internal prototype. Things for development wise are coming along really good on the Litbox front, so stay tuned for some more information about that. We are going to be putting out some more educational things on why Lit and Lit boxes are necessary and a great addition to the cryptosphere, and how it can help enhance point of sale solutions and all kinds of other stuff. So look for that in the coming months. Let me see here. The last thing I wanted to touch on real quick, the community voice thing. So if you're in our Discord, you know that we're always in there talking, answering questions, chatting. I know yesterday was the 4th of July here in the United States, so I was smoking some pork butts and brisket, and so I was sharing photos of all that and all of the fun stuff that we did yesterday. So if you want to join the community, be a part of the team, get inside of our Discord. That's where all of us are hanging out. But the community voice thing, we want to highlight some quotes from our community members as they're talking inside of our Discord. So you can hear the philosophy and the way we think about crypto from the team here on Vertcoin Talk, or whenever we have any of our developer videos that get posted onto YouTube. You can hear kind of how we're feeling about certain topics, but we want our community to be able to reflect their feelings as well. So one of the initiatives that we're going to do more of is this community voice thing, where we're going to pick out some really cool quotes whenever you guys are talking here in our Discord, and we're going to share them on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, all of those places. We're going to share those around, so you'll be able to see that our community, they're in line step by step with our philosophy when it comes to cryptocurrency and with Vertcoin. So the last thing we're going to do on this talk today, I know it's been a lot of me talking, but now we're going to move into Spuddle, who's going to talk about the Vertcoin brand audit. So this is one thing that if you guys are listening on the podcast, so the MP3 of this, you're just going to hear audio. So we're going to do a lot of verbal commands, such as moving the next slide and such. If you want to see these slides, please come over to our YouTube, go to Twitch, and you can watch the replay of this, or if you know, and see the slides that we're talking about. But we're going to go through these now. So I'm on the first slide, Spuddle. So if you want to start talking through this, and then just let me know to go to the next slide. And if you have any questions about this brand audit, how we went through this, how what the end results are and stuff, start submitting those questions now in the YouTube chat, and we'll answer those once we get to the end. You guys know we always like to do Q&A kind of here at the end. But Spuddle, I'll turn it over to you, and let's get the brand audit underway.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think, yes, we did approach this brand audit from a very objective perspective, only because what we want to know is what Vertcoin is holistically, how we want to portray ourselves as a brand, and then also where we're headed, and how we're going to structure that communication to where we want to be. Right now, what you'll see that's come out of this audit is some real insights around Vertcoin as a brand. And you'll also see that we've started implementing some of the aesthetic changes to Vertcoin through our, our post updates, our tone of voice, and it's starting to ripple into our brand language and graphic language as well. What's going to happen coming up from now is there's going to be more implementation in different areas, and this is what we're going to talk through. So what we're going to do is I'm happy to also take heap of questions because yeah, I think that's I'm sure everyone has a lot of questions. I've seen lots of questions being thrown around in Discord, and it is there's a lot of genuine intent, which is one of the reasons we decided to do this brand audit.
Yep.
So let's go straight into, I suppose, the overview slide.
Okay.
So on the essentially what we want to do, this is how we sort of structuring this brand order, where we did we looked at our values, our vision, our language, and what we stand for. Then we looked at how we structure our communication for our different audience and user groups. We looked at our content strategy currently and where we want to be putting our content strategy into. And we also looked at the message matrix, so the key messages that we want to get across to different users across different segments at different life cycles over the next 12, 24, 36 months. We also looked at our market strategy and how we approach our market in the next 12 months and how we encourage growth. We're also going to look at the implementation, basic concepts, and our approach in the next steps. If we move on to process, this one is an interesting one because what we did initially was we did. So this is not my I run brand audits all the time. It's one of the things I do in my full-time role.
All right, sorry about that, guys. For some reason, OBS was disconnecting and reconnecting, so sorry about that. Spittle, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So I've kind of gone on to the interviews page now, where we've got what we asked you about. So
yeah,
just generally in a nutshell, these are the topics that we kind of covered, asking the core team, and then looking at the team that's been involved for quite a bit of time. And we also asked a few newbies as well. So one of the things on here, that was quite insightful was just looking at the crypto market in general and where Vertcoin stands there. We looked at the plans and successes moving forward. We also looked at current market awareness and how we can influence that. Are you still with me?
Yeah. So some of these quotes talking about our challenges, and
yeah. So this is the dirtiest slide that we have, and it's meant to be dirty. Like it is one of those slides that it's an awakening slide. But also at the same time, it's one of those things that if we don't embrace these things, we can't really leverage them to become our strengths. So one of the things on here where it's very few people know about Vertcoin, this just means that there's an emerging market that we can, that hasn't woken up to cryptocurrency yet. They haven't found the cryptocurrency that they want to align with, or they were once jaded by a sea of vaporware and scam projects. So that's the kind of insight we need to be leveraging, moving forward. One of the other things is, we want to be perceived by the right audience. Moon Kids is, it's probably a market that's kind of come about because of cryptocurrency being treated as an investment, as opposed to being treated as a utility. That if that's not where the real value of cryptocurrency lies as an investment as opposed to a currency, then Moon Kids are never going to find the value in a coin that really wants to be a utility, really wants to be something that you use every day. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the Moon Kid, when Binance, when Moon, that's something that you'll hear a lot of times. And when you push back on, well, what fundamentals behind the project would indicate that there should be a Moon, a lot of times people won't put in that much thought. They simply just want it to go up higher just so they can sell and then, treat it as another investment, move on to the next project without knowing anything about the project. So unfortunately, that seems to be the case.
And I mean it's a common I can see how I can see how we've kind of gotten there, and I can see how Vertcoin's kind of we've been positioned in that space, only because we are a cryptocurrency, and that's the cryptocurrency issue in general. However, where we are stronger, I don't think anyone else can really compete with that. And a lot of that has to do with community, the core fundamentals, et cetera, et cetera. So if we go to the cover, like the overall slide where it's like our challenges, it's shitcoin dead pointless. Now this is our challenges that the market perceives us as, right?
Yep.
Not always the case, but sometimes. And this is something that we want to leverage and overcome. Our vision, on the other hand, is a much prettier slide where we kind of understand where we want to be. A financial system owned by its users, where users reap the majority of rewards generated by the system. Now, I think that's quite a fantastic way of putting our vision. One of the other ones that's awesome is become a widely used currency, free people from banks and central entities. I think one of the things that Vertcoin is really strong with is the whole ethos around cryptocurrency. Like being true to that ethos is, it's strong enough to kind of believe in the coin, really. So I think just becoming a widely used currency, if we can achieve that, and I think that's the mammoth achievement.
And some of these quotes on this slide under our vision, this is more in-depth thinking about a particular currency than the overwhelming majority of people that were in the space back in November, December, even put thought into it. A lot of people, they don't want to put forth the effort to be like, okay, is this project actually going to be a currency? Is this what it's going to be used for? And you can see here, this is our vision for Vertcoin right here on this slide. I mean, it sums it up great.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that what is important for any brand or any project is to know that vision and have complete clarity around that so that we can achieve it. So these are essentially the foundation blocks to start building our marketing strategy and communication strategy around everything.
Yep.
So let's move on to our unique value proposition. This key slide is be your own bank without having to trust anyone but yourself. So this is essentially what we would put out as as one of some of the messages that we would put out there. But this is our key offering in a way. It's an absolutely fair, honest, and decentralized currency. It's a community coin with volunteers, fair distribution, and fair mining. And you would have seen these key messages coming through in a lot of the communication that we've been doing recently.
Yep.
And I think some of these bits and pieces of communication were also, we did them in past communication pieces. So, what we want to do is just bring it all together, make it really holistic, and make sure everyone who is part of the, who receives the communication is, kind of is aware of what we're doing.
Yep. So
when we look at the kind of trajectory onto how we kind of do it, we leverage our UVP and vision. We reposition the brand so that it doesn't sit within a space that's judged by cryptocurrency values, and we mitigate the challenges that we face within market. So I suppose that in a nutshell, there's an intuitive understanding of Vertcoin's vision with Vertopians. Those who take time to understand Vertcoin are impressed and converted. And this vision needs to be clarified, distilled into an elevator pitch so it can be rapidly communicated and understood. So this is essentially the insight we got from those interviews.
Yep.
one of the slides I really like as well is Vertcoin's marketing problem is that it currently is positioned in a market that doesn't know its value. And this is talking about the cryptocurrency market. A lot of the moon kids, a lot of the people who are just looking for a really quick investment, and not utility. And those who hear about it currently, they tune out essentially because it isn't a get rich quick scheme. It's we're working towards a real currency. So if we go to the next slide, we find that Vertcoin is, in a nutshell, it's one of the strongest coins on the market. Our communication needs to reflect this in our execution. And the Vertcoin project needs to be captured and projected through all our communications, which is essentially what we're doing right now.
I think in the past we've been very, very modest, I guess, in our technical abilities from a coin standpoint. We've been very modest and reserved in, I guess, being not bragging per se, but being, vocal about how we are as compared to some of the other players that are in the space.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the things as well is we need to kind of treat Vertcoin as almost like in a baby really now that so one of the things that I got out of the brand insight is us as Vertopians, we think of Vertcoin as ripe for growth. We think that we're just starting out, whereas market perception is that we're dead coin, or we're a coin that's past its prime. So one of the things that we can do is, at this point, like any brand can, is surprise and delight the market. Really, there's so much that our value in terms of surprising and taking the market by surprise is crazy. The multiplier would be crazy at that point.
Yeah,
if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think, and that's also thinking long term. Most people in this space, that's the reason why there's projects that have no real working project or any vision for a project, and they're still able to get top 30 on the coin market cap because they have 4 billion coins, and each coin's worth 30 cents. People are going to that looking and hoping for some sort of quick gain. They're not thinking long term. They're not thinking 5-10 years down the road. Now, most people don't want to hear about that. They want to hear about the right now and now. They don't want to worry about what things are going to look like 10 years from now. But if you're being serious about the space and being serious about wanting to be a currency, you got to think long term, and that's where we are.
Exactly. So if we move on to the next slide, you can see where we're currently positioned in a cluttered market full of the same message. And where we want to be positioned is in an innovative market, a marketplace where we're not just positioned solely by cryptocurrency, where we're positioned as forward thinkers in a tech space, and where we are open source as opposed to being owned by a few, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is quite a good slide to just kind of come back to every now and again and say, hey, are we positioning ourselves around here, or are we going back into the routine of just being another faceless, nameless cryptocurrency that's got doesn't stand for anything really. Yeah. So if you look at this slide where it's this is the current one and this is repositioned, we want to move away from shitcoin. So yeah, let's move on to the next slide where we we move from shitcoin to market leader, slow and uninteresting to progressive. We're looking at strong real value. We want to position ourselves as ripe for growth, so always changing, never staying still. How we are a technically strong coin, and that we're dedicated. So I guess hardworking has been communicated across, and that's one of the ones that we really want to kind of keep. It is a very hardworking hardworking team, and you can see that.
Yeah, if you spend more than 2 days in our Discord, it's a little. I mean, it's not bad, but it's just the amount of time that we put into the community, but then also into the project. And we're not huge. I mean, a lot of these groups will have. I mean, I can't remember how many developers it is that works on Bitcoin. I know it's 100 plus all around the world that do it. I mean, we're talking, was it 6, 7, 8 developers, and they're not all working on everything at once. They kind of have their own little things that are happening, and then your marketing team is about 8, 9, 10 people, and we're all all around the world, and we're kind of spreading this workload out. But we're putting in a lot of hours, and we're hoping that all of that work and that passion will pay off in the long run to be able to give the community an actual usable currency.
Of course, yeah, definitely. So if we go into our next slide, we're looking at how we're going to reposition this brand. We're going to look at brand values, brand identity, and our audience. But we'll just take this from a very top level approach. Let's look at our brand values right now. Yep. It can be summed up really clearly where we're honest and transparent people who believe in a fair and equal world where anybody can mine and participate in a decentralized financial system. Our passionate and progressive attitude leaves no place for dickheads. We're market leaders because we're real.
Yeah.
Now, when you sum this all up, the brand values, they really they resonate with you because that's essentially what we stand for. They're really pure, they're holistic, and I think we've got the solid foundations for a very solid brand.
Yep.
So just to recap that, it's honest and transparent, fair and equal, passionate and progressive, no place for dickheads, market leaders, and we're real. So that's the slide that we're on.
Yep.
One of the things we wanted to explore as well is looking at how we would treat the Vertcoin graphic language. And how it would translate into HTML5. What we want to look at is, and this is something I want to kind of put to the community as well, is what does Vertcoin kind of stand for? Is it like this coming together, it's the decentralization, and moving forward into that space of Lightning? How do we project Vertcoin as a very dynamic piece of community, I suppose. So this is one of the things that we're working. We can work with the community on, and also flesh it out with a visual designer as well.
Yep. And you and Plankton are really kind of spearheading a lot of the visual design aspect as far as what you'll see coming from the team. Both of them are really laying the groundwork to building a solid foundation for that, so that everything's more uniformed and cohesive.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen some really good response from the community as well. So that's really reassuring. So we know we're on the right track. But also it's really good to see the passion and enthusiasm coming in from the community as well. So that's really exciting. When you look at our comms strategy, what we want to do is first of all raise awareness and education. So that's obviously a no-brainer. That as any brand, that's what we want to do. We want to find real market solutions and real utility, which will drive adoption from both merchants and users, which then leads to us being being within market and being something that you use every day in market.
Yep.
And we want to lead innovation, creativity, and disruption. And this will probably be around the technology of Lit, Lightning Network, and Lit bots. So if we go to the slide where we're looking at our key message, we're looking at how our brand repositioning will position Vertcoin as a superior alternative to the outdated cryptocurrency establishment.
Yep.
And essentially, Vertcoin is not only a mature credible and viable alternative to cryptocurrency solutions. It is also a progressive and relevant, and it's relevant to contemporary market transaction needs, and the world's emerging new attitude. So, although development has been slow, breaking new ground is worth it. So essentially, we do things the right way, and I'm sure this is being communicated across. Like I've heard it a few times. We do it right when it needs to be done, really.
Yeah, I mean it's like everything, good products, good software, good messaging, all of that stuff takes time. If you want to cut corners, you want to do it quick, it's going to fall apart on you. I mean, you can look at the EOS mainnet launch. They did it quick, they had the hype, they had everything else like that, but at the end of the day, the product didn't necessarily work correctly, or the way it was advertised. Here, we'd much rather go by the mantra of measure twice, cut once. So that's why sometimes you'll see development take a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, the product is going to be worth the wait.
Yeah. So if we move into looking at our marketing strategy, essentially this is our broad roadmap. So at the moment where we are is we're looking at brand positioning, and we're kind of going to dive slightly into market adoption in the next few slides. And then we'll look at product innovation, which is what's going to happen with Lit and LIT. So Lit and Lightning Network. And we're going to also look at how we kind of like nurture the community, and essentially that's what we're doing. So we kind of keep the community engaged and inspire the passion. We grow leadership and kind of foster that kind of community relationship everywhere, really. So at the moment, what you're seeing in market right now is you're seeing how we are repositioning the brand with new aesthetics, and you are also seeing how we're going to start driving things in market with items like possible media buys, and just bits and pieces here and there. So if we go into the slide where we're in market, one of the things we really want to start pushing is a merchant adoption initiative, where as the community, we can reach out to merchants that we use every day. Like I'm thinking of reaching out to the coffee shop that I go to every morning, because I've already established a relationship with them from the hundreds and thousands of coffees that I get every morning. And seeing if they would be open to, accepting Vertcoin. It's something that anyone can really do. And one of the things is, all you have to do is just say, hey, just get in touch with, or just, reach out to the merchant page on the website. So what we've got is, we've got a new website in the back end that Plankton's working on. And what we're going to do is possibly do a stronger call to action on there for merchants, and kind of give them a place where they can reach out to. And we can send them an adoption kit, which comes with a few nicks and knacks that makes adoption really easy for merchants, which I think we'll cover in the next few slides. But essentially how the way it works is merchant gets sent an adoption kit. They get community support to implement it through our channels. And then Vertcoin supports the merchant through integrated marketing activities. And that includes things like Merchant Mondays. It includes things like, where we did the thing with the taco sauce, we have like a Vertcoin product within it to raise awareness within products. So it's the little handshake initiatives that we can do with merchants that adopt Vertcoin as a payment solution.
Yeah, and a lot of people may say, wait, new website? Didn't you guys just redo your website? Yeah, we did just redo the website, but this is the thing. The website is a living, breathing location where it will morph and change depending on where we are in our product line and where we are in our roadmap. One of the things that we're talking about here, and you don't see a lot of currencies and things talking about sending merchants adoption kits, where making it as easy as possible for them to be able to accept Vertcoin, advertise that they accept Vertcoin, those are things that we've been thinking about for the last few months and how to get that implemented. And, with us, funding is always something that we have to run into. It's kind of a, the I guess it's the bottleneck that we have to force everything through to be able to get it to happen. So that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort in order to be able to flesh that out. How's the best way to get that done for, the limited amount of funds that we have as a project. But we're thinking about those things. And here you're going to see what he was talking about right now. It's currently in dev stages, but the new merchant side of the website, it's going to make it so easy for somebody. You can go into, like for me, you guys have heard me talk about me going to my local golf courses and saying, hey, I really would like to pay in Vertcoin to play golf today. And hearing their concerns of, look, I still have to pay my employees. I got to buy grass seed. I got to do whatever, so being able to exchange those funds for US dollars or euros or whatever the currency is so they can do their cash flow. This is another part of that, is being able to, one, we got to quell those worries with the actual merchant, but then we also need to give the merchant the tools to be able to advertise and to process those payments. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. So it's a great step forward as a project.
Yeah, exactly. I guess if we move on to the next slide, you'll see what we're conceptualizing the merchant adoption kit to be, to look like as well. So the onboarding kit would, what I imagine the merchant journey to be is they reach out to the community, or we reach out to them. We as a community can fund the merchant adoption kit, which I don't think would be, it wouldn't be anything, probably be like a few dollars here and there per kit, where we have a display sticker that's got Vertcoin accepted here, almost like you would see with Visa and MasterCard. You'd have an easy guide to setting up and using Vertcoin, which is the little brochure that you see in the bottom left corner. It kind of communicates the user values, or the values that as a merchant you get. It's looking at setting up how to set up your wallet. So whether you use Android, you set up Vert Wallet, or if you're using iOS, you use Coinomi. And so that, I think, in a nutshell, would be enough to kind of convert the merchant into adopting Vertcoin. One of the things that we're leveraging in our merchant adoption is, essentially we've got a community of a community that owns 40 million, around about 40 million Vertcoin, and the community, wants to find a place to spend it. What I'm also doing is working with Pex Peppers and using them as one of the case studies in this merchant adoption kit. So as we grow merchants, what we do is we create more case studies and ship that out with the merchant onboarding kit. So, a year from now, we'd have, 5 to 10 case studies with our best merchant stories in there. And what that means is it's another barrier breaker for merchants to be like, actually, you know what, this can be done. There are merchants that are doing it all around the world, and I've got access to a market that I didn't have before, if that makes sense.
Exactly. And, most of the times the fear for people is they're not, most merchants, they're more worried about, they got to get the work done today so they can help their customers and fulfill their customers' orders. They're not worried about, if it takes more than me pushing 2 buttons and plugging it in and it working, they don't really want to put forth the effort to learn about it. They're not here. If it's different if there's somebody that owns a coffee shop and they themselves are a crypto enthusiast, much easier to get them on board to be able to accept Vertcoin or what have you. But if you're talking to someone who's in their 60s, who have owned this store for the last 30 years, this is all they've ever done, it's kind of hard to push somebody in that direction when you don't have any other case studies to reference. You don't have any other materials that help them kind of guide themselves through the space of being able to accept cryptocurrency, let alone being able to explain to them what the hell cryptocurrency is. The majority of the time, people can't even understand it. If it doesn't come as a physical dollar or coins or token or physical things that they can hold in their hand, a lot of times they don't even understand it. So this is just one step closer to being able to have the same impact as Visa or MasterCard walking into a merchant shop and being like, hey, you should accept credit cards as a form of payment. You'll get a lot more business out of it.
Exactly. And I think what we would see initially is we'd see a lot of independent entrepreneurs or independent business owners adopting it first because they can make the big decisions, but they also are trying to capture a market that is so small right now. Because global markets aren't growing as fast as they used to, um, we see within economies we're seeing so much, we're seeing less spending, and so as a business owner, you want to find markets that haven't been tapped yet. The people who own cryptocurrency have money to spend, really, and that's what we need to make appealing to those business owners. And the small and like independent business owners, I think, would be the way to go initially, and that's what I think what we'll see as being the quickest adopters and those who want to jump on board the future, the future markets.
Yeah, and us getting this onboarding kit squared away, it helps everybody else who wants to get merchants on. Because right now it's a different story if you or myself walk into a merchant and we want to start talking to them about being able to accept Vertcoin versus the average user of Vertcoin. They may not have a lot of the either inside information or the roadmap, what's going to be coming down the road. Being able to have this kit that they could, if they themselves wanted to print it off, or if we can make it into like a PDF or something like that to where they could email it to the merchant, that allows the average advocate to be able to become a marketing adopting or adopter pusher. I guess that's the right terminology, but they can push merchants that they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis into accepting Vertcoin, and that being able to spread that out. It's just like if you ever watch the graphics of the Lightning Network, it just spreads and spreads and spreads, and eventually you'll be able to go up and down every street inside of your local town and be able to pay with Vertcoin. That's the goal.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And whether you're having the first conversation or you're having whether it's a conversation that you're saying, hey, have you, do you accept Bitcoin? It could be as simple as that. And then they're just like, oh, well, what is Bitcoin? They're like, oh, you should check it out. It's blah blah blah. And then the merchant themselves, like if they're interested in it, they can just click to receive an adopt onboarding kit, and it just gets sent out to them, I suppose. So that's one of those things, and essentially a lot of the convincing then is put into the onboarding kit. And if the business owner sees it as a solution where it adds value to their business model, then I don't see any reason why they wouldn't take it on. If they want to be driven by profits, like that is one of the things that they would consider. So, which all business does anyway.
Yeah, like yesterday, I went to a location to grab dessert for my wife and I, and they actually said that we can't accept credit card right now because our system is down. We can only do cash. They lost about half of their business. Like people would go in and then they would just leave because they didn't carry cash on them anymore. Imagine, right now that market is small, but imagine 5 years from now and you don't accept crypto. You could essentially lose half of the possible, people coming into your business that want to buy a product or a service, and you just because you don't accept it, now you're losing that market share. So
exactly, yeah. And that's the whole premise around it. So the market's growing. The market is nearly here, to be honest. So this is the time we need to start onboarding those merchants.
Exactly.
One of the things that we're going to look at in the next few slides is creative approach to how we're going to communicate some of our messages. And these are just generally like some of the key messages around it. One of the things when you look at our street posters, so this is looking more about our media buy approach. And what that means is what we're going to do is look at producing a media schedule where we can buy, say, things like billboards, street posters, subway advertisements, just buying media space in and around public spaces to try and shift or raise awareness to Vertcoin, whether that's like to drive merchant adoption, whether it's to drive just opening a channel of communication. I think this is why we will be looking at media buy. So the concepts that you'd be looking at over here, just bear in mind that they're still concepts, but it is, it would be something that would spark conversation. Being something like RIP banks, that's quite on trend right now. But it is kind of like good to bear in mind that we're looking at one of these things. What we would also then do is put together the media schedule, say, hey, in order to achieve street posters in, say, Singapore or street posters in New York, let's create a coordinated campaign. This is what it's gonna, we have to raise like 500 BTC over the next month in order to kind of make this campaign possible. And that way, it's directed directly by the people. They kind of like fund those media buys, and then that in turn kind of drives that communication, creates new awareness, and we can also look at doing targeted magazine interviews and posts and bits and pieces like that.
Yeah, so here you can see kind of like what we're looking at for like a bus stop, being able to be your own I mean, look how appealing this looks. If you're out, this is really good for hitting the campus culture. Because a lot of times you'll have university buses and stuff like that. This is the type of stuff that we want to do from a marketing standpoint. But as you know, especially in your industry, you need to have funds to be able to do this. You need to be able to have a game plan ready to go, have the materials ready to go, and then be able to execute that. And right now we're kind of in the planning stage. We're getting all of these things together, so that when the time comes and we're ready to go, we're going to be rocking and rolling. But I mean, it's the concepts are on point, and I'd love to see what the community thinks as far as this initiative.
Yeah, totally. Um, I think this is quite a good slide to end on, because it's looking at the potential of like what we're doing in the awareness stage, and the merchant adoption. I think there's quite a bright future ahead. I'm happy to kind of like take questions from the community as well.
Yeah, so
And
if any of you guys have
yeah.
questions here on the YouTube chat, please go ahead and put those in there. We'll hold around here for just a few minutes for some questions. If for some reason you asked a question, we didn't answer it, hop into our Discord and you can hit us up. But you can kind of get a rough idea by this brand audit where we're looking to go, where we're looking to take this project in the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years from now. This is kind of where we wanted to be. So let me see if we had any questions that came in earlier. I'll scroll up through here. Let's see. Let's see. When Litbox. I know we kind of talked about that a little bit. Right now we have a few Raspberry Pis that we're using as far as test hardware applications for the software. The software is still currently being developed. And then we have a few 3D printed boxes that we're testing. So you can see here on this slide, we have a Litbox graphic. That's kind of the look that we're going for the physical box. But, like we had said in previous talks, we're looking to do a DIY version of this so that you can create one yourself, as well as being able to get something to where you could just go and order it. We're still working out how we're going to get that laid out, but right now it's currently in beta phase. So see, it asked about what do merchants do whenever they accept Vertcoin. Most of them sell it all for fiat right away because they got to pay employees and they got to buy other materials and things of that nature in order to continue to run their business. You said you want some lit AF stickers, so that would be kind of cool if we can end up getting some of these things made into stickers. I know one of the other things that we have coming, it shouldn't be too long actually, is the official Vertcoin store. So the Vertcoin store is going to have posters, it's going to have t-shirts, it's going to have all kinds of merchandise so that you'll be able to represent Vertcoin whenever you're out and about. Something that would be kind of cool is if we can get these street posters inside of that store. You can get them and then just put them up outside of your dorm room, outside of your house, or what have you. But it'd be kind of cool to be able to go down the street and see this type of media showcasing your favorite project. Let's see. Have you a rough idea on what amount of funds will be needed to roll out street and bus posters? We'll be donating for sure. So first, I want to thank you for donating. Anybody who's donated in the past, thank you very much. I put a lot of effort and time whenever we're discussing what we're going to do with these funds into making sure we get a good return on investment on that. But Swelda, do you have any idea kind of what the cost would be in order to run a marketing campaign? And I guess the best place to ask you would be over there in Melbourne.
Yeah.
What kind of price ranges are you looking at for that?
So I've run, like in my job, like we've run marketing campaigns worldwide. So just a little bit more background to me. Like I've worked with some pretty big brands like Coca-Cola and Cadbury and Schweppes and that. But what we want to do is try to get the best, and we've communicated this quite a lot. We kind of want to get the best value for whatever Vertcoin we spend, and this is no different for this approach as well. I have been building a media buy schedule. So essentially what that means is if we want, it's going to be a sliding scale. It could be one of the things where we say, hey, if we invest, say,
pushes it out to, okay, now it's back. Okay. I don't know what's going on with this OBS. All right. So sorry about that. Yeah. So keep going.
Yeah. So, so the sliding scale kind of starts at somewhere from a few $100s. So like a couple $100s to, it can go in the thousands of dollars really. But it just depends on coverage. It depends on what we want to achieve. And that's something that we can outline in, in our media buy strategy. So, I think what's going to come out next from marketing is we're going to look at how we're going to approach market adoption. So we'll look at solidifying the market, the merchant adoption kit. We can also do the media buy schedule, and that way everyone's transparent about what we can buy and the space that we can buy. Essentially, we can even try to do like takeovers and kind of create whole Vertcoin spaces. Maybe even like collaborate with some of our peers in some way and do cryptocurrency food truck events and stuff like that, where food trucks just accept cryptocurrencies.
Yes. So one of the cool things, I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's hold on. See, I brought this up and now I can't even remember the name of the artist. So there's a DJ in so 3LAU is a DJ in the California area who is huge in cryptocurrency. He loves cryptocurrency. He loves Vertcoin. He's trying to build a cryptocurrency ran music event. So a music festival that just runs completely on cryptocurrency. So we're currently in the talks with him in order to be able to have Vertcoin, things like VertBase and stuff like that, to be able to facilitate that. So like what you're talking about as far as doing ad buys, that's the type of stuff that we want to push towards, is being able to have a complete event or something like that that showcases Vertcoin as a currency, and that being able to be the currency backbone of the entire event. I think one thing I was just thinking about off the top of my head as far as doing the media buys and stuff like that is we don't have a lot of VTC, I guess, in reserve for marketing, but maybe we could do something kind of like what we did with the bounty system, where we put up the media buy schedule and say, this is the target areas we're looking to hit. This is how long it will run. This is how much we need in order to do it. And then once the community has fulfilled that bounty, then we can initiate the marketing buy schedule. Do you think it's kind of the idea that we're looking, since I don't know if we would have the reserves off the bat to be able to do something on a grand scale, but being able to be transparent with what we're looking to do as far as the media buy, and then the community can come together and figure out if they want to fund that or not?
I think absolutely, yeah. So that would be the approach that you would want to take, because then it just means that, you know what, this is what they've committed to. It's the most direct and transparent way to do it, so that, you know, if you support putting posters in like bus stops, or creating a behavior change campaign in subway stations, and just bits and pieces like that. I think as a community, if you can get on board with things like that, then we're winning. And you know, if we can meet our marketing budgets through that way, it's better than having you know, a broad stroke approach where we just collect marketing funds without direct intent. However, we can still repurpose existing marketing funds in driving those initiatives as well. So there's a lot of bits and pieces that come along with that. So, you know, there's I think the bounty idea would work quite well.
So we're going on just almost an hour and a half for this one, so this has been a pretty long one. And once again, sorry guys for the internet issues. I will be addressing that router as soon as we get off of here. But also, since Spuddle's in Australia, it is pretty late for him. I don't want to keep him up too much later. So I wanted to thank him for joining me on today's Vertcoin Talk. And thank you guys for tuning in. Give us some feedback on this brand audit and kind of where we're looking to take the Vertcoin brand as we move further here in 2018 and beyond to 2019. Let us know your thoughts, any ideas, anything like that you want to help kind of contribute to the project. Just hit us up in our Discord or message us on any of our social media, and we'll get right back to you. So with that, I just want to thank you guys for joining us today, and we will see you again on the next Vertcoin Talk.
Awesome.